Hello and welcome back to the stream. My name is Jun-chan and I'm so glad I followed my checklist and unmuted my microphone. Yay! That's gonna make for a better experience for everyone involved. So here we go, and we can put on some music as well. That's going to be nice. All right. And we can duplicate our log and update it for today. We are the 11th, aren't we? Not the first. The 11th, I believe. I'm going to double check. We are. Okay. And today we're doing Purescript chronofold. So let's copy this here. Okay. So if you're new to the stream or the channel, then, well, welcome. I stream almost daily on Twitch, and I export my videos on YouTube. And these days we have 3 series, and then sometimes I jump in and out of stream to try other things. So the main one is the one you're watching right now. We are implementing the chronofold data structure in Purescript. But we're also doing Haskell, and we're also playing with streaming tools. So, you know, check it out. And just to tell you a little bit about my style, this stream is about working and learning in the open. And, you know, I hope this can be helpful, but, you know, I'm fairly new to this, so everything might change without notice. And also I like to follow tangents. So bear with me as I, you know, basically enjoy the fact that this is not work. So therefore I have a free hand in deciding where I go, and that allows me to satisfy my thirst for learning more things and curiosity. So that's the point. But as you can see, I'm fairly organized, meaning that I will at some point come back to the point. And so that's it. Let's look at what we have in store specifically for the chronofold series. So last time we actually switched from working on a VS Code extension to working on a browser-based prototype. So the idea about the chronofold data structure is that it's a data structure that is used for real-time synchronization of text. And so that's the type of things you would expect, for instance, a tool like Google Docs to have in the back. And indeed, this data structure is in the category of CRDTs, or conflict-free replicated data types or data structures. And these conflict-free replicated data types have the property that data structures. No, this is of course data type. Where did it go? Okay, I see. My keyboard shortcuts are still a little bit take a little bit of getting used to still, and this is it. So, okay. So conflict-free replicated data type is the type of thing you find in Google Docs. But since Google Docs came out, there's been a lot of improvement and research in this area. and the overall area of research is called CRDTs, and chronofolds are a specific implementation of a CRDT that pays a lot of attention to the way that text can be represented in data. So in our first attempt, we've implemented it. There is also an existing Rust implementation, but to my knowledge, this is the second public implementation. And we did a fairly naive implementation where we haven't paid a lot of attention to the low-level performance at all. That's one of the reasons why I'm curious about doing this, that I have not had an experience in optimizing data structures or code, to be honest, for fast performance on Node or the browser. So I want to focus a little bit on that and do it in a functional way and see what are the challenges that come up in doing it with Purescript specifically. So also, if you're not familiar with Purescript, Purescript is a strongly typed functional programming language, and it's very much inspired by Haskell, but it does a few things differently. Since it's also more recent than Haskell, it has the chance to actually explore new techniques without having to care so much about a lot of historical concerns that Haskell, for instance, has to care about. And if you haven't heard about Haskell either, well, it's a general purpose programming language, and the fact that both of these languages are strongly typed and pure mean that they differ quite a lot from other mainstream programming languages. They are not mainstream. You can't really consider them as mainstream. And they offer, in exchange for having to think a bit more ahead at compile time, and define and think about your types, you gain a lot of guarantees around how your code executes and the presence or absence of bugs. And you get a lot of assistance from the compiler to help you identify problems before they occur at runtime. There's a lot of other benefits, but these are some basic benefits that make a lot of difference. So one of the reasons why I actually switched from a browser-based, a VS Code extension to a browser-based prototype, actually my prototype V2, is because VS Code was starting to get already a little bit unruly. Just writing JavaScript code felt wrong, and the API were really complicated, and nothing that would be unsurmountable. But I decided to move back to a simple browser-based prototype that uses Purescript, and that just right away diminished my level of anxiety just working with the code. And I think that's because with these languages, the more you invest in them, the more the return you get in clarity of thinking and a certain sense of whether things are going to work or not, whether things are going to get unruly in a way that you can't manage them. All of this sort of disappears, and you get a lot of assistance from the compiler, as I said before, in helping you type check your code, but also you get to start thinking more clearly, because the abstractions that you have to hold inside your head are very reusable, and that's a huge benefit. Let me start your Purescript thing here. The compiler helps me write, helps check my code before it runs. The types help me think about my code better, and the patterns are really reusable. Yeah, and yeah, purity, pure functions, and immutable data structures. Remove whole classes of bugs. And the Purescript specifically, those are all applicable to Haskell. And the last one, it runs in the browser. And that's true of Haskell, but in a slightly more roundabout way. And for me, the web is, you know, a universal platform. And the fact that everyone has a browser means that code that runs in the browser runs pretty much everywhere. Okay. So let's see where we are with our version 2 prototype. Well, first of all, it should be around here somewhere. But well, no, I'm not going to open the code right away. I'll show you in a second. But where we are at is that we've, in fact, I did maybe a couple of streams on the VS Code prototype, VS Code extension prototype. But it took me basically, I don't know, like 20 minutes to go back to pretty much the equivalent functionality, which is not much, right? But in the browser through Purescript. Browser prototype v2 in Purescript. So what it does is that it has a simple text area. It's actually a div. And when we write in it, everything that we type on our keyboard actually gets transformed into a chronofold operation and then persisted inside our chronofold data structure. So so that's great. That's a real good first step. But first step. But the next step is to use some kind of distributed network connectivity solution to send those operations to other instances or other replicas. And so to simulate the idea here that there would be several people opening their browser, and when they open the browser, then they start communicating with other people in their browsers and still be all able to type text simultaneously and get it to update and converge, which is the benefit of these conflict-free replicated data types. So many people can update, can read and update text all at the same time while the results being completely consistent, which is to say that CRDTs converge. And that's true. Okay, that's true also for offline clients. So if I was to disconnect and work offline and then reconnect, then everything would still converge. So of course, that can lead to results that are in fact hard to edit, but with this representation, and we'll do some tests on that, the convergence is supposed to be fairly intuitive. Is the end result is supposed to be quite intuitive. Okay, so so what I was doing, and this might take us a little bit of time because that's a whole subtopic in itself, there's a few things wrapped into this sub goal of broadcasting ops to some kind of swarm. And the reason why it's going to be a few there's going to be details in that is because I'm going to pay some attention to the sort of event API or the event or stream API that we're going to use. And but I'll probably try to do a prototype first, but then I think I'll go back because this is an area of particular interest. This is something that I've been working on a little bit before starting streaming regularly on Twitch. And I want to sort of connect the dots and see how I can reuse some of the things that I've learned to this particular use case. Okay, so, and the technology that I'm interested in using for this is called Hyperswarm, and that's the technology that's used in the DAT project, which is, which is also a peer-to-peer data synchronization tool. And the people who built the lower layers of this have built tooling like Hypercore, which is a distributed append-only log, which is, I guess you could say, a bit like a chronofold, as well as Hyperswarm, which is a network connectivity stack for peer-to-peer connectivity. So I want to try and reuse at least Hyperswarm. Could be that at some point we also look at Hypercore. We're not going to use it for chronofolds, but we might use it for something less granular than chronofold, if that makes sense, because chronofolds are meant to be updated at each keystroke or even cursor movement, whereas Hypercore calculate a hash for each new entry, like a blockchain, and so that might be too expensive to pay for single keystroke hashing, which is something that, in fact, the author of the chronofold data structure, Viktor Grishenko, highlights in, if not in his paper, at least in the video where he explains some of maybe the differences between the type of protocols that you find in chronofold versus blockchains or Hypercore style techniques. But that doesn't mean that we can't reuse this tooling, this tool, Hyperswarm, especially if we're going to be using the Hypercore for other bits. One bit that's of particular interest to me is, how is it called already? Kappa Core, which is an approach which is very much based on basically event sourcing, by using Hypercore as the event log, and then merging or folding hypercores to be a particular aggregate in event sourcing parlance, or a particular instance of a data structure, or particular instance of a data type. So this is really interesting to me. I'm also interested in whether we could actually implement Kappa Core, this approach, but on top of a for instance, in top of a chronofold, for instance, because in fact the merge algorithm is something that could be implemented in something like Kappa Core. So this is still fuzzy thinking on these parts, but those are part of the kind of area or technology niche that I'm interested in digging into. So Hyperswarm, we've actually, okay, let's go to the code now, and let's in fact run a prototype. So that would maybe require to change to the shell again, back to git bash, I believe. Browser conofold and parcel index.html. Okay, I see. I think there's a problem with the path. Right, so we started importing the very basics of Hyperswarm, trying to think about how to hook the Hyperswarm API to the Purescript FFI, so that we can call the networking code from our browser, the browser code. Okay. All right, let's do just a tiny bit. I was thinking that this is not a bad color at all, but it's maybe not too much my aesthetic. I think I'll go to something very minimal. However, I shall change the font color. Maybe to something like this. And I might, in fact, pick a slightly less white color. Right, so let's start the inspector. And maybe put it below, since it'll be easier with this current structure. And so if I start typing in the box, then we see some, oh, well, actually it's not working anymore. I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, of course, the color in the box should be this is going to drive me mad. This keyboard shortcut muscle memory. So we've also implemented backspace and whatnot. So that should allow us, in fact, to go back in time. Which we could have fun playing with at some other point, but yeah. So that's nothing special in appearance, but what it's doing though is that it's persisting, and it's creating these operations that are ready to be sent over the wire to other replicas, and that requires a certain amount of preparation. And then it's appending this operation to the local log or local chronofold, and that's also taking some work, right? So okay, and to do this, we're using this SDOM library, and I think I didn't even explain about why I chose this library last time, which is that, oh, I don't even have it here. Okay, SDOM. So it's a library created by the author of Purescript, so a really smart developer. And this is actually basically, you know how React is good because it uses this concept of virtual DOM. Well, this actually altogether takes another approach to the virtual DOM. So let's see. this library, right, the static DOM is by restricting components so that the shape of the UI becomes static. We can keep the clean denotation of the VDOM approach, but simplify the operational side dramatically. The SDOM consists of a static tree of components with only the leaves, text note, and attributes changing over time. So it means that we're not changing the structure of the tree and the component tree. In practice, this is not so much of a restriction, and the limited form of dynamic behavior is enough to emulate most common UI pattern. Indeed, working with the SDOM is quite reminiscent of template-based approaches to UI development, but keeping the one-way binding approach, which is commonly associated with the VDOM. A one-way binding, also called unidirectional flow, which means that your UI is defined by a function from state to your UI. And here that's not the type, so this is the type of the VDOM, but not the type of SDOM. So let's go check out the type of SDOM. So that's the high level type. Let's see. Right, the main, the workhorse is attach. And attach takes a component of the DOM and a model, and then will run, will update when the model gets updated by the components. And the components are able to deal with events. Oh, and I suppose that this is what Phil calls the limited, like the limited form of dynamic behavior. That must be through detaching. See if we can attach and detach, then we can do more or less whatever we want. So this is actually something that's, I guess you could say, experimental. But also not updated so much. I bet not a lot of people use this in the real world, although there are 11 forks, so it could actually be that more people than I think are using this. And but yeah, it's a way to try something. I mean, the work of Phil Freeman is of really high quality, and Purescript is such that even though it's not used a lot, and even though it's not marked as production ready in this ecosystem, there's a lot of confidence by the fact that it just exists and that it's developed to a certain point that's in fact already sufficient to think about using it in production. But it means that, tests, it hasn't been widely tested. It's not clear whether how exactly performance is, and there might be corner cases and whatnot. But yeah, this is all pretty good. So someone's done something pretty radical by removing context here. So I actually haven't really understood yet what context is. Context is a type of the context of the component. If the component is rendered as a child of a dynamically sized list, the context will include its index in that list, for instance. Okay, yeah, so that's another part of what's called the limited dynamic capabilities, but that's a really super important use case. A list, yeah, a list of components that updates itself based on a data type. And then there's an input and output. And so for our example, we just decided that this is the log. And so so it makes things incredibly easy to hook up. We can basically say that an editor is something that has any channel or context. We don't have any particular channel or context to define here, but it takes a log as input and a log as output. So it means that we can initialize the log with in the same way that we initialize our log in our tests, just by giving it a replica number and and appending this root operation at the beginning. And once we do that, then it's in the hands of the component to update, and that's done through this update function, which on key up is going to take the existing log and update it with an update function that basically calls the Purescript chronophore library that we've been building in the first part of the series, which is here, data chronophore. So this is really great. Right, but now we need to hook it up such that when an operation occurs, we don't just append it to the local log, but we also send it via Hyperswarm to whoever might be connected. And plus, we'll need to do some things when we detect that someone new connects. And so all of these things are going to be fun. And I should mention something about Hyperswarm technology, which is one of the reasons why I was also interested in using it, which is that there is an implementation that's able to optimize the amounts of connections between a swarm, such that not all the swarm needs to be connected, but that instead we create the minimum number of connections that will eventually fully connect the swarm, but without needing to create a fully connected graph, which would be really expensive in network bandwidth. And and this, I think, can be also tweaked in such a way that we can actually create redundancies, so that there is a mesh aspect to it, and we don't reduce to a tree. So yeah, so that's I'm quite looking forward to use this. Interesting. Right. So when looking at Purescript allows to connect to JavaScript code through the FFI, the foreign function interface. And there's, a quick and dirty way to do it, which we're going to do first. And then there's a better way to do it, which would be to wrap all of these libraries into a Purescript API. Right now, I might sort of piggyback a bit on some JavaScriptisms, like the fact that I believe this code should be loaded and ran. Let me check that, in fact, because I'm thinking now that Parcel might be doing some dead code elimination, and so I want to make sure that I'm actually executing this code on initial load of the prototype. I'm not. Okay, well, that's okay. We can create and update a init function, and then we'll use some global variables, which is obviously you generally don't want to do, in order to pass parameter between I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'll just pass, maybe I return the swarm instance. I'm starting to think now already in terms of doing this properly instead of doing this in the quick and dirty way. But to be honest, I'm not even sure whether my quick and dirty way necessarily works. So yeah, so I'm gonna test it now. I'll make swarm a mutable variable that's initiated in the top level closure here, and try and see whether I can actually then Well, first of all, console log swarm when I run it, but then also console log swarm when I call other functions. So let's give that a try. And so I'm going to need to define foreign functions for init, send, and swarm. So let's do so. Foreign import init. Init will be an effect of unit, something that we don't expect returns anything. Send, I think, takes a string and returns an effect unit, I think. And receive is a callback. Or takes a callback, I mean, callback of string to effect unit and return an effect unit. And the ID is compiling in the back, and it considers, or it doesn't see the function defined in the foreign module, maybe because I did my module export incorrectly, or maybe because it can't read some of these JavaScript because it's because the JavaScript that's allowed in Purescript, unfortunately, is a little bit behind its time. Okay. So, and to see the error message, I'm going to need to build it from the command line. Okay, so I must be doing something incorrect in the way that I do my imports. Let's go and check on someone else's Purescript code. Right, exports dot. And let's check what the errors look like here now. Much better. Okay, so those are only warnings. So now we should have access to an init, and I need to double check what the types of SDOM. Hey, so actually it was doing something. I just wasn't patient enough, I guess. Or maybe it was just waiting to do a compilation to be able to bundle the main JS. That's also possible. So now, so it could be that I didn't need to do the init, but it's going to be cleaner with an init. And in fact, we're going to init here. And are we recompiling here? I suppose this error is going to exist also if we do this. So yeah, we are not going to have a stun or turn server for now. Okay, let's see if this recompiles. Error resolved. Main.default main is not a function. So maybe we have a problem in our foreign imports. Effect unit. Right. There is a little bit of transformation to do, right, that I forgot about. And does events have this to guide us? Foreign import. I think this should work. I think now I'm thinking about transformation that I require for the F monad, but I think they're not required for the F monad. The effect monad. My effect blah. Effect blah. Yeah, so that is what I do. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's I think is a compatibility layer for some new JavaScript features. So I wonder when is Babel ran? Could be that it's inside some of the dependencies, maybe. I'm not using any await async function, but it could just be that Hyperswarm Web has an async await API. So yeah, that's still a little bit curious. Oh, it's this nano message dependency, I think. So maybe we just need to do that, to do var, to do just import, or maybe require, I think we need to do here. Regenerator runtime slash runtime. Maybe we let's leave it here. I was gonna say put it in index.js. You know what? Maybe it makes sense. maybe this, it's not impossible that this import would cause this. Right, let's try this. Oh boy, there are some. Can I see the list of extensions that are loaded? Because I'm wondering whether my my chronofold prototype is loaded or something, because it's no, it's just that I have quite a lot of extension installed. Yeah, no, it's not there. Okay, so that's not the problem. And this should be just main. And then let's remove this and retry. No, it still seems to be wanting something like that. So what about this? I'm gonna need to recompile main for that, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's trying to, yeah, it's trying to connect to a backend that I haven't started yet, but it has a Swarm instance. So I think we're looking good. Let's double check how we, oh yeah, because it's the Hyperswarm web instance that we're starting. And where is this one? Here. Right. Your Hyperswarm server would need to be localhost. And we'll need a port number. I think this should work. All right, moment of truth. A new connection. So whoops. So I displayed the swarm and I got a new connection. So I think that's right. I'm surprised I don't see it here though. Topic is what, by the way? Oh, topic is okay. It's SHA-256 might have us from topic. Okay, so it's going to be it's going to be chronofold chronofold hyperswarm topic. Sounds good. Okay, let's rebuild. Okay, now both have a new connection. And one is a client, the other is a server, I suppose, depending on when they started. Okay, so that's good. We have connectivity. And now we need to see whether calling send or receive is going to work properly, at least in terms of accessing the swarm instance. Here, I did, I don't know what I did. Oh, I tried to output or to share S instead of swarm, but yeah, why not? I think this can be wrapped completely differently, but we'll try this way. So I want to make sure now that a handler can have effects in it, but I'd be surprised if they didn't. But if they don't, we kind of have to reconsider the library, so let's really hope they do. Okay, effects. Yeah, it's going to be fine. Yeah, push is in effect unit. Okay, so that's why we have a pure here. And so on key up, we can do, and we can do send high. Right, so actually we might not have access to the raw push here, so it could be that there's something more to it. Handler. I think this is what we have. I think we have a handler which takes a function. Right. So key up is defined up here, and it's a handler of key up. So it passes a string, and then we expect a function that takes a context and an event and returns an E. So here I need an E that's an effect monad. The type of event which will be handled might take into account the event channel of the component. Okay, I'm not familiar with what that's supposed to be. But let's take another look at the events, the type for events. Maybe we take a look at the examples, and we'll have an example of how to do effectful code in there. Canvas would probably have some effect-based calls. New render. Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe render is pure. Let's see if render is pure. No, it's effectful, perfect. So that's kind of what we want, but it seemed like maybe in order to pull that off, things are done at a slightly lower level inside the library, using directly the subscription. So like we need to see maybe unsafe as DOM is part of what makes this work. Let's see, unsafe. In order to wrap existing JavaScript components. So maybe we don't need that. Maybe. Event channel type. We haven't looked at this at all. Async. Wow, I'm impressed that there's async. But are we async? We are async actually. Huh. Oops. Handler here. So handler indeed seems to be in some kind of either, which is what the error message was here. I couldn't quite understand why it wanted the either. Here, could not match type effect with type either. Because we have a handler of either. So pure is actually pure is actually a way to return errors in the handlers, but I didn't catch that in handlers earlier. I guess this E is a kind of an exception type. That's what it is, I think. Type of event will be handled. Oh, so, or maybe it's just about the fact that events themselves are defined like that. And it's just a type. Handler context E. Okay, well, let's double check what the type of just is pure. Yeah. What's the type of that? Either channel or log to log. Huh. Oh, so this is something for switching channels. That's part of the... This is a context with something else, but let's see. Channel, array channel. Oh, so it must be used for lists and such. It must work like an ID for sending. For if a parent component has multiple instances of children component of the same type, then there must be a way to identify them. The event channel for the template component provides the ability to modify the input array itself. So I think it's this index that's going to be passed. No. That's passed as as the context, I believe. Oh no, that's passed as the channel. Okay. Channel is the type of the event channel of the component. If the component is rendered as a child of a dynamically sized list, the channel type will provide a way to pass an event. Okay, so context passes the index, but event channel allows to pass an event. Provide a way to pass an event to the owner of that list. So it's the way back up, whereas I seems to be a channel down, or a passing something from the outer component to the inner component. But I here pass an event to the owner of that list, so it seems like that's to modify the list itself. So for example, we might use the channel to allow a component to remove itself from a list. Yeah. Since SDOM is a strong perfunctor, we can apply perfunctor lenses to the value. Oh wow, that's cool. That's so cool. So it means our components are lensy. Wow, that's beautiful. So import data lens, and then the type of _1 for text const identity. The type of text const identity is channel context A for SDOM channels context string A. So it takes a string in input and it returns whatever. And then if we take the first element of that, or the product, then it allows us to have to lift that to a component that has a string in its first component of the tuple. That's pretty cool. So text creates a component which renders a text node based on some part of the input model, right? So we take something from the context or the input and we return a string. But we can still return anything as the output of the component. O is the type of the model when used as an output. Event raised by the component may change the model by providing a function of type I to O. So that's what this is, I to O. The model is split into input and output type argument to allow the perfunctor instances for SDOM to exist and to enable the use of perfunctor lenses for component composition. I see. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes tremendous amount of sense. And that's going to fit fairly well with my view of the streaming components. Like Purescript runs streaming, I think I can also map perfunctor instances to that. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to wrap or connect this to this event model there, since I don't even understand the event model yet. The E-type argument represents the type of event which will be handled. This might take into account the event channel of the component. Right. So, interesting. Okay, 1 second. Returning unit means that we create a handler that returns the type E of unit. Here, I'm really returning log. Or I'm passing a function of log to log, which is this case of having an event that operates on I to O, but that's not the handler. There's no I to O directly in here. with async there is. This event click underscore underscore to unit means that if I replace this by unit, then I would have the type of handler context unit. So let's check this assumption like this. This should be of type. Well, let's try it with unit. I forget if there's multi-line comments in Purescript, but well, you know what? I do want to know what the type of the whole thing is. Handler context, and then either channel or log to log. So either channel or I2O. And so that's because of the type of handler, I suppose. Oh, this is very open. This is very polymorphic. So context and E. Context is still polymorphic, but E is now either channel log to log because of this. But maybe I why does it have this type? Is it because of the div? It is because of the div. Because we have an array of handler context of either channel I2O. Yeah, so that's what imposes this type. Which is the type of this more complex component that can pass things to their parent. So does it mean that when we specify a channel, actually we can return, we can receive that at the level of like interpret channel or something? Interpret the event channel of a component? That takes a... Where would we use that though? Array channel, but that's not what we have. Well, we don't have any particular channel at this point. Channel is still polymorphic. Okay, let's look at the example for element. And I think this actually div is probably an element, in fact. And yes, it is. Whoopsie. Yeah, either channel I2O. So create a component which renders an element, including attributes. These guys. Different handlers, these guys, and a static list of child components, in our case, a text component. Which in the browser is just an HTML text entity. And no, we're not sending anything yet. Okay, what time is it? I need a little break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. All right, and I'm back. Back for some more inquiry in how the SDOM library works. It's a bit of a tangent, but it's quite interesting. Oh, by the way, during my break, I was wondering whether I was saying nonsense with regards to the spanning tree, because how would you implement a peer-to-peer minimum spanning tree algorithm? That sounds like you need a server node that knows the graph. I mean, maybe there is an algorithm that could, optimize a local swarm. Maybe, not even sure. But no, peers don't know global state. No. Wow, amazing. Okay, so definitely looking forward to try this. Also, there is a need for a proxy here, which means that it's not completely server-based. But I think the proxy is used in case we want to connect to node swarm peers. But I'm not exactly sure then how it works. The case where you're adding peers manually. And basically this is a DHT implementation, so you can have it spin up anywhere, including probably in a browser. So I suppose it means that if I start up and then I share a traverse and a public IP and a port, so assuming that I've opened a port and that people can connect to my home, or to let's say, then then they can join multiple participants sharing that address could join the swarm, and alternatively we can set up a server that does this for us. So I think it's still, I want to test it and see if there's a good UX for Swarm without any centralized elements. And maybe also that means different degree of sharing inside the Swarm in terms of coordination of peers. But anyway, let's go back to this element thing and try to read the docs to see how we understand this. Okay, I think the bit of doc we're interested in is this one. The third argument is an array of event handlers. Note that the result type of each handler is either channel or I2O. That is, an event can either update the state of the current component by providing a function of type I2O, or it can use the event channel to pass a message to a parent component. Yeah, exactly, that's what I thought. So, okay, I'm now therefore thinking that maybe O for us is effect of log in that case, which would mean that we would be then able to do effectful things. So let's see, because in this case, an async handler, I think that has to be represented in a monad, no? Starts a timer which raises a unit event every second. So the type of this, okay, that's the type of this handler is context is unit. Okay, hold on. A convenience function which provides the ability to use events directly in a component's event channel. Oh, right. So this is the channel, not the context. So there's an event directly in there. what's the type of this? Can I actually run? So it's from SDOM event. No, where is interval from? Okay, I'm a bit confused because I thought that in fact it wasn't using the FRP event, but now it looks like it is using the FRP event. Yeah, no, and I think we checked this, and web event are not FRP event. They have an internal type, which is defined as an external. Yeah, it's just a foreign type for all DOM events. Oof. Something strange is going on there. It didn't want to run the REPL. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't matter so much. We can find the type of this, I suppose, but it depends whether where interval is coming from, though. That's the thing. Was there ever an interval here? Well, that's a big cleanup. Events. Okay, let's see if I can't find interval somewhere in here. FRP event time. It is that interval. Holy moly. So that's pretty amazing, actually. There's an example that hooks up into FRP events. And also I want to understand whether some of the SDOM components, some of them are output effect A something, or effect O as a way to do effect fall. I mean, what is this? We must interpret the event channel of type mode using the map channel function. Okay, so this is not simple. I need to check whether FRP events have effect somewhere in their type. It's an event of instant, and event is just it's a pure type. No, it's not. Okay. Indeed, it returns even effect of effect unit. So here, interpreter. Right, yeah, the fact that we have an interpreter makes a ton of sense, right? Because then we reply with what Phil calls channels, but these are in fact actions in the sort of Redux world, and so they're passed here. So they're like an action algebra. I think in Halogen they're specifically also an algebra, but then they can be interpreted. Right, so the counter with the side effects wraps the counter without the side effects. With an interpreter, which can take a mode and return an event, which in this case happens to be in the happens to have effect monad stuff in it. An event of state to state. I mean, this looks really beautiful and clean. So let's do this. We import, where we're going to need to import the FRP module, which is event. Oh, we might already have it. We probably already have it. Event, web event. Yeah, we have event. And so we can just import it. And then this would be editor underscore editor, and then this would be editor underscore, and we'll go from log to log. But we'll have this algebra. Which we'll call actions, I suppose. Or maybe action. And what are they? Yeah, they'll be a fairly typical algebra. Or except, well, it'll be interesting to try and make a free monad out of that. I suppose. Should be enough. And then, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. This means something. And then we go from action. And we, oh, yeah, this is going to be an operation. In fact, it's not going to be I mean, it's going to be, yeah, ops. Shall we do this now? Yeah, why not? I kind of want to test it, but you know what? We don't really need to. So this is going to be an array. Array of ops, and we'll probably receive an array of op as well. Okay, and go back. And so now we return an event and some log update, right? And so the log update is just going to be update log. Yeah, right. It depends what we do with our E. Right. And it means that we need to actually first build the op and then append it. So we need to split those two, which is fine. It just means that yeah, it's going to be fairly easy. How it is. Maybe build an update then, or build an append. Yeah, build and append. So build, pick an op, an event to event, and return a single op, and it's going to be like so. And then update will also take the op. And append it. We could probably factor this. By returning a maybe op. In fact, I think that's the way, isn't it? I will leave it like this for now. And I said that this would be append. Oh boy. Append. Such that yeah, you know what? I'm extracting the wrong thing. I just need to have a 2CP, which takes an event to a code page, a code point, to a maybe code point. And make this a code point. And then okay, this is really just this. So 2 CPs is char. Oh boy. Yeah, I think that's the conclusion. Therefore, I already had it. Is the conclusion, and therefore, actually, all of this is something like in the maybe monad. Is char e, and that's it. And then and then in truth we don't really need to do that, right? As long as we and if we do that, then we return a maybe op and a maybe log. And right, and that's where I need to do maybe, in fact, because then I return L identity here, and then maybe L identity. Okay. But of course, this is not necessarily needed, but oh, right, so yeah. So in fact, maybe that's a maybe op, rather. And then this is the proper way to do the short circuiting, I believe. Oh no, what am I doing? There's no CP here. Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay, so the type of interval, if yeah, the type of interval into event instant. So we could do, so send needs to be an event, right? I mean, not the send action, but the send, I mean, or we need to build an event out of this. And so instead of effect, I want to create an event for it. Make event. So So you know what? Let's call these underscore, in fact. And then we'll say that init. No, init we don't need to. Init can be a good old effect monad, but send, we can say that that's an event of unit. By the way, that takes a string. And we say that send equals make event. Oh, okay, right, yes. Hold on. No, A2, with the A being the carrier. So that's for, yeah, that's for us. Yeah, we can say the carrier's unit. And therefore, here we need to... But we need to, well, we need to const that, don't we? I think so. And then we pass a non-subscription, oh no, it returns a non-subscription function. Maybe you give me an example because I'm a little bit, I mean, I think I have the beginning, but yeah, maybe that's going to be in behaviors. Make event. Or maybe it's going to be in the tests, in fact. Create an event which fires when a button pressed. Blah to event target. Now we means that maybe we could reuse those keyboard events. As a listener. Alright, so make event. Okay. So we'll take a K and ignore it. It's just going to be a unit. And it will do. And it will send str and forget the return, and then return some unsubscription function. And the type should be just effect unit or effect of effect unit. You probably want to use create instead, unless you want explicit control over a subscription. Well, we kind of do at some point, but this is a prototype, so maybe in fact we don't. In which case, well, I mean, okay, let's look at the implementation of the make event here. Just pure unit. This keeps track of who subscribes, and then so I think I need to do pure unit. And this is action. and then receive. Receive will get an up. Or is that a continuation if you call it K? Yeah. No, it's... I mean, now we have an event of string, I believe. We make... No, it's not a string, it's of ops, of array up. Ops. And right, what do we do in that case? We receive. I mean, can we? No, we can't push anything here. Maybe that would be the simpler interface. I don't know. I mean, I think we receive the op, don't we? So when do we even call receive? Okay, I think I've confused myself there, which is often the case with event code at the boundary. Takes me a little bit to orient myself. Subscribe takes an event, pass it a callback. K is the callback. I shouldn't look at this code, this is going to confuse me. Takes an array of ops. No, that is a function. Some kind of continuation from, in my case, ops to effect unit. So I need to pass it the ops. No, yeah, right, I need to pass it the ops, so a receive is going to give me ops. So I need to then pass those ops to K. Okay, and so now this is broken, which is okay, because we need to change it to something like this. We're right where we do now. It's a channel, so we don't do this thing anymore. We do left, off, and key up. That's the send. Off is char E. Yeah, that's fine. So what's broken now? A missing parenthesis. Some imports. Okay, and so now when we receive a send up, we we send up. Yeah, okay, we pretend, because right now I think I'm building a single up, right? So send build, right? Build. Well, I just need like a maybe to list. Okay, I guess I'll do a build prime. And that would be log2 event and to array op, and it would be maybe nothing. Or identity. No, not identity. Need to be transforming the just. Oh, right. It just need to be singleton. Array singleton. And then append is going to be. Append can't be the same thing, but we don't need that. So build prime. We need the log. So that's. Oh yeah, we get the log here. Right. We'll get the log here. So it means that we need to be in this monad. We don't do this. That's not exactly right. We need the log in the action. Unfortunately, that's or do we? Hold on. Since we're in a component which is supposed to have log, can't we pass? When we map the channel. Right, so we pass any actions through the interpreter that are coming via the channel. meaning this could actually be specialized. In fact, yeah. This needs to be specialized. So like this, or monomorphized. Okay, and then first of all we can do this, and then we're in this event. I mean, it's a monad, right? Oh no, it's only an applicative. So I mean, I think we need to pass the log, which is fine because this is not send. Yes. This is really write, and this is read or put and get. In fact, we're never really getting events from here, right? So I don't know where our receive subscription is going to run. We're going to need to subscribe to the receive event somewhere. Interval, maybe that's where we subscribe, maybe. Okay, so this is write, and this is write, and this is read. Right, I think that is where we do the subscription. Yeah, subscribe event and the callback, and so the event is what is the event? Oh, right, we make an event out of receive, right? So receive is the event, and the callback is what? Well, for now, something like log show. Can we do that? Ops. Log show ops. I don't know. And so, okay, if we send the ops, and then we well, first of all, they're not ops when they arrive. That's they would be if I do build prime right here. So I think yeah, no, that probably wouldn't work. So let's do it like this. And I suppose like this. So is char of E gets us a code point, build prime. Oh, right. Yeah, no, so it makes sense to pass the code point. And then here, I mean, we do build prime of cut point, and that's an op, so we need to do this with let ops equal blah, and then we send the ops, and then we append the ops to the log. Is that gonna work? And if we receive some ops, well, no, in that case, it's just what it is, right? Okay, so yeah, so there would be an in. And those will be CPs indeed, or maybe just a CP in fact. So write in fact takes an array of code pages, I mean the code points. Still don't know about that. Yeah, my problem is that to build prime I need to pass a log. And I don't have access to one in this context. In write I do. Or pure I do, because I'm in the I2O part of the event. But if I do channels, then I'm actually somehow delaying the interpretation of that to here. So I need to pass, so I don't have access to the current log directly. So that breaks the symmetry a little bit. It's not the most beautiful. Although I suppose I could reestablish the symmetry by saying that read actually gives me some code points out, but yeah, that's not really true though. Well, let's try like this. In any case, I'm sure there's other errors that are going to show up. Yeah, so because we actually, when we read something and we get some ops out of that, then we don't just look show the ops, we in fact can do it maybe this way better. And then what, we pass identity here? No. If we did, turns a canceller function. Okay, I'm a little bit lost. some examples in here. Maybe it will help. Create. How about the test of FRP event? No tests. Yeah, I remember, I think I should submit some tests for this, just as documentation, but yeah, it's been a bit 2 hours I've been streaming, and I feel my energy level are fairly low. I mean, it's all good, but okay. Yeah, so those are used just, I mean, let's see if create is used at all. That's the test, right? Yeah. Ah, that's an example project. No, that's the test. Okay. I think I'm missing some thinking around the applicative notation. Taking action, return an event of log to log. And I think this is an event. So with this notation, sendops is an event of, it can be unit, right? But we replace, and then B is a function, is an event of log to log. So we pass it to B. And it's going to wrap the function into an event. The RP is a function from log to log. So if we do this with subscribe, and we can't really do this with subscribe, right? I need to see how subscribe is used. I forget. Subscribe to value. So you make the event. You make the event with the subscription. So in fact, it's up there that I need to subscribe. Makes an event. which given a keyboard and an event, return of an event. Holy moly, where is this ref created? Or rather updated? Keyboard has the ref in it, I see. And event listener is directly the DOM. So that's the equivalent of my receive. But I think it needs this subscribe I think it needs the subscribe approach, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe that's already doing what it needs to do. I mean, the question is, who is even sending this read? Right now, editor is supposed to send it, but that's not true. We don't have any editor sending this. I suppose we could hook the handler here. That might be the way. I mean, I'm thinking this because this key up does the registration, but no, hold on. Yeah, what I don't want is that, and that I think would be the case here, is that each time interpreter is ran, which is each time the editor changes, for receive to be somehow reran because receive is supposed to call us back. So it feels that if we have an interpreter, then the events coming out of it, the events coming in it, should be sourced by something that's already registered somehow. And I mean, if we say like a receiver is just a handler of a receiver. Then we say that the editor actually does create such events. When it reads, then it passes the E, which in this case will be an array op. So some ops. So E. And so it means that then we just read the ops, and then we've done the subscription part. So we just only need to do the event part, and we can do that by doing pure log and log ops. Yeah. And then this would be pure identity when nothing happens. Array op versus string. Yeah. So we need some serialization of sorts. I mean, this is not going to care. So we could use the show instance. Except, well, actually, yeah, maybe that's a way to fix our show instance, because okay, what the K is what's here. K is array op to effect unit because of this type. So, and I need to return this effect thing. So is this just a question of wrapping this? Oh, does this type check really? Looks like maybe it does. It does. Okay, so yeah, then I need to do something with it. I do need to pass it to K. And that feels like that's some kind of right, and I need to do maybe or the reverse. Hold on. K is the callback. I receive some stuff that are ops I need to show them, but yeah, okay, maybe I should first show them, and that should give me some ops, and that should be of type string, right? Oh, and I need to put that inside pure. Oh, holy moly! Receive takes a K. That's the thing. It takes a K with show applied before or after. Well, K is array ops to blah. So I need to do show afterwards. I need to fmap show. No. It's like contra map, isn't it? That's the... I should be able to write... Okay, maybe I just write contra map by hand. So I'm receiving some... Receive is gonna receive some strings. So, oh yeah, right, okay, that's why I need to do the reverse serialization here. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to be doing this because I think array of op should be doable in JavaScript, maybe? I mean, op is going to be a nightmare. I haven't displayed ops here, but no, ops are simple. They're just 3 things. Okay, yeah. If it simplifies this, I mean, I need to do serialization later, but let's try like this. Okay, yeah. I don't need to read ops anymore. And okay, yeah, so basically we can do this again. Looks like we can. But of course we can't derive any equality here, but we don't need it. Yeah. Yes. I say right was an array of code points. I think we're saying it's a maybe code point. Yeah. All right. So receiver creates a handler. Out of these different type of events. But it doesn't say anything about receive yet. Right, where was this example? Here. Right, let's look at other examples here. So you use array channel to pass some position. To allow a task to delete itself. And that's in the array channel code or the array channel interpreter. Perfunctors. That dig into the state, is that right? Yeah. That's really elegant. But there's no interpreter at this, so it means that the array channel trick somehow contain its interpreter. No, array contains it. Yeah. So let's go check out array. Might be in components. Oopsie. Nope. Might actually be in this DOM. Yeah. So that's what a low-level interpreter looks like, I think. And for sure, ref is I think how we'll need to handle state for a log rather than passing it the way we do for performance. So events come from this mapping start with setting up the models and then subscribing. Using setup again. Optimize for edits at the end of the array. That's this code, right? Yeah, if the array grew or if the array shrunk. This needs to be low level because it needs to attach and detach, right? All right, append or drop or remove last 10 children. Remove child, I think, is the detaching. Oh, well, yeah, that's actually a DOM mutating. So it's like detaching, yeah. Actually, detaching seems to be mostly unsubscription rather than actual DOM removal. Though remove last children is DOM removal. Yeah, this is too low level for me to have clarity on how the interpreter structure for something with a callback looks like. I mean, receiver. I need something that in the editor is going to generate events. So it needs to call receive. It has to be something with push, right? allows the caller to provide additional model updates which generate for user. No, that's not it. It is it. Effect needs to be added at the edges. So we're calling, I think, receive with, or we hook up receive in such a way that when we receive an op, we push it. But then is it going to go here? I don't know, but actually we push left, right of ops, I think. I'll read. And then we do this. Okay, we type checking again. Okay, what's up with append? Oh, I probably need to do pure here. Indeed. That's a maybe code point, and I need a log somewhere. Ah, yes, I absolutely haven't solved this. Yeah, I think my types here are wonky. It's also my execution order. Maybe it's just applicative style. That's just I'm not comfortable with, but it's surely it's possible. If you want an event from log to log, I mean, we can go into this event monad. Okay, let's think about the types for a second. We want to go event from log to log, which are really B2B in our case. So an F of B2B. And so the way that we have it now is that we have an FA which is the send ops, a function from B2B, which is this, and then we get this F B2B. So let's go check out our applicative, not this. in fact, wherever dollar greater than is, that's actually just functor. So if we had an A, so we don't have an F here, so and what about this flap? That's funny, flap. Never seen that before, but that looks like that. So if I do an F of a log to a log, void is FA to F unit. I mean, it has to be an applicative rather than functor, right? A to B with an FA. Okay, what do I want? I have build CP. So I have send, which takes ops. Okay, so I know I want an F of B to B, fine. Then I know I can get an F A. Fine. No, I know that I need a F from B to A. Am I trying to do monadic code in an applicative? That's why I'm actually stuck. I don't think so. I mean, I could just pass the log. No, I can't pass the log as an action here. That's right, I can't. Which is a bit of a weirdness. So maybe it just means that I need to put my log in the context and then I'm done. Why not? So if I do that, then I can totally do build log is char E. Oh no, actually, just build log E. Or build prime log E, and then the right can come back to being symmetric again and being an array up. And then we have ops, and we can send them and be happy. Except you want an append that takes a maybe up. Fine, we'll do an append prime. Which will take an array up. an array up of only one element. And in this case, the pattern matching for arrays in Purescript should actually be pretty good and safe. Throw exception. That's temporary. Oh yeah, well yeah, I suppose the empty case can be dealt with. Indeed with nothing. Good numbers. Log area up event. Oh yeah. Append prime. Append prime. What is this event business here? Yeah, it's absurd is what it is. There's no such thing as events here. It's just ops. That's true. And append prime. Oh, read is supposed to be a callback. But we've already did the callback transformation here. So in fact, it means that when the event is sent, it's just read. Log with context. Log with unit. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Right. We can't have, this needs to be polymorphic at the top. Okay, how's that work? We need to map the context or something. Yeah. So let's see. With async, it's fine. So it's just redo, but can't we do? No, it's not a profunctor thing because there's more than the I and the O here. So that's actually a quadrifunctor or something. No, it's a profunctor augmented by a bifunctor, I think. Something like that. High order pair of a profunctor and a bifunctor. Okay, map context, then just need to pass it a context to context and this thing, so it's really just map context of const unit of this. And we just need to import that. Okay. And that's from sdom. Just sdom, in fact, which I do import. So what's the deal then? I see, probably this. Oh, map channel requires a... No, map channel is fine without type annotation, so what's the deal? Oh, no, interpreter should be good too, unless interpreter... Oh yeah, interpreter should be fine. Okay, well, you know what? What? Context to log, huh? Ooh. I don't know how to do that. Yeah. In the other direction, sure, but hold on. I'm trying to I thought I was trying to transform. Oh no. Okay. Maybe unit then. And then no, but you need to log. Can't do that. You need to log. Okay, need to read just a bit more about context. context is supposed to be passed down. So yeah, if it's passed down, then for sure the parent should have something a little bit more interesting to pass down. Yes. But then attach doesn't work. Is that so? Maybe there's another attach that is a better type for us. Or maybe I just need to wrap this into some root component. I mean, we know this is log. That's not a problem. And we know this is, we can make this units, maybe. Maybe we can. Don't know. Here the context is passed down. Hey Juan, how's it going? Yeah, you know, it's actually it should be like bedtime, really. Yes, yeah. Maybe subconsciously I was waiting for you. You know. Okay, yeah. No, the functor instance is on O, so that's not gonna work. But I'll drink a bit, at least. Yeah, that makes sense. I get pretty fast at the beginning, and then I get a bit swamped up into this new library I'm using. But it's worth it. It's quite an elegant library. So attach needs to attach a unit. So I guess most of the time it needs to stay polymorphic in the context. I can't do that here if I want to pass the context here. But maybe, oh, I guess I need to see how an array, like the parent array, feeds the context to its children and therefore regain its polymorphism. So that would be in array, right? Yeah, array is polymorphic in context, but All right, nice. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, your mind was super active, thinking about uni starting, maybe. Often when there's a transition like that, you start something new, then it's hard to sleep. Same here. Yeah. Oh, I see. I see. So we basically just pass the context. Oh yeah, that's smart. That's smart. It's to make the components being able to be parented to any parent. So we need to keep the context stuck somewhere. Oh. All right. Yeah. Thanks. I'll. Yes. Hope we bump into each other tomorrow. Have a good nap. Yeah. So that will be in the code for array for sure. Here we go. Array. Oh, but right. So hold on. So if instead this is yes for all not here for all context, and I put the log in there, and I put the parent, and I say that that's the context, and now I have something smart to say for what, except that that's not it's not a type. Okay, and I think I won't need that. Right, context that will be inside a record, and then we can do that. Amazing. Hold on, how do we do that? Yeah, parent is an unknown type. How do we... Oh, I guess we can put units in it if we're at the root. Okay. Yes. In which case this will be unit, but this will pass tests and or with that check, and we're happy. So right, so it gets a login and wraps it into a parent that has unit in it. And I think that that's because we need to put this at this end. Unless with async imposes some with async, no, it seems like it could be What's going on? What did I do here? Do I get past the unit by the context? No. No way. Oh, hold on. No, oh, what? Yeah, yeah, no, I still need to... This is going to be unit. Is that right? So I still need to find... to make a log out of whatever. That's not gonna work. Yeah, I still need to be able to make a log out of nothing, which I don't know how to do. Yeah. So that's... I'm still maybe reversed in my head. What's going on? Array takes... an array context and returns a context. Array implementation is super low level. It's actually, yeah, it's actually using the constructor directly. So it's, I need to make another mental translation here, which I'm not sure I'm able to do. Right, and so an element takes arrays and returns something that get past the log from the top. Right, hold on one second. Nothing tells me that I can actually get a log out of nowhere. I need to get it out of the input. So the question, I guess the follow-up question is, can I put the output or the input, I mean preferably the output, into the context? Another way to say that is, can I update the context from around here? And I mean, interpreter is going to give me an event. I guess I could sample that. But no, I need to pass it a log. So can I leak somehow the interpret channel? The channel is the way back up, right? Yeah, I think this context is really meant to be something that's defines the component structure somewhat statically. Although I guess when when we do the example of modifying children, like removing a children, let's look at this example again. The example when we have to do, for instance. Right, so here, so the event gets the index, and then it sends a command or channel through the channel, an event through the channel, which is a function. This is partially applied, right? Delete at index blah. It's waiting for an array. And so here, yeah, here is a function. So I just need to make my events from log to array up. Or I need to return the array up and the log in a tuple. Yeah, I think that's more like it. Can I even do this with read? No, this doesn't make sense. It needs to be log to array up, I think. So let's see where this takes us. Because this means that I don't do build with the log here. If I do build prime, I take the event, but I'm partially applied. So I'm waiting for log, which is cool. And then what? And then this needs to be interpreted somehow at some point, right? So it's just that when we interpret it as an action here, our right is really a function that waits for a log, so we can't Yeah, now that I think about it, I think that by using functions, we're kind of in the continuation applicative or something. And so that allows us to string the log somehow, like a state monad. It's a bit strange. Yeah, I think that's the case. It's just that for one given operation, we can't modify the log twice, so to speak. But bah. That's not true. Send takes an array up. It doesn't take a string. This send is correct. We're back to a combination of applicative because now we have an f of log2 ops. That's correct. And log2 log. We want an f of log2 log. I don't know how to pass this log. Okay, well, definitely past the point of diminishing returns. I've been staring at this for way too long now. I will sleep on this and come back at it on Wednesday, which is where we get these things back on the stream. Tomorrow we do some Haskell GPU shenanigans, and that's it for me. Sorry for the very slow and I guess, yeah, erratic in some sense. Past hour or so where there was virtually no progress made. Yeah, well, sometimes that's gonna happen, right? So yeah, hope you still took a little bit out of the stream, and we did make a little bit of progress, but let's actually maybe write down what this progress was. We have in fact connected. We've connected two browsers with Hyperswarm. We've done that. So that was good. That wasn't Purescript, but that was good. And so we're now just connecting the event API to the FFI, the SDOM event API to the FFI. So that's it. And yeah, I'll probably, you know, dream about it and then maybe do a little bit of research as well. Maybe read or watch some talks around applicatives, and I'll make sure that I'll, you know, share that as I do. But that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.